Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions. Thank you for joining us in the light of truth. And you see how every brother is so essential to God's holy plan. For perfect happiness, because we're one. We can't go to heaven without each other. And then you see the joy, the only joy is being in heaven together. Some of these collaborations are really coming together on some of the projects are just really beautiful. So we can really see that it's only one mind. That's the really only purpose of any time that we would join to come together, is to see that one. Rejoice in the play of the one, rather than invest in the death march. Yet we can't even see where that investment is in the death march without Jesus's help from infinite light of being. So we invite him to be here with us today and see that he's already shown up in all these reflections in the Christ and in our brother. And we ask his help with miracles. Like, it's become so clear that not even knowing what miracles are needed truly, and how he has to be the director of the miracle band. As the deeper the looking through the desires, not even seeing what desires are there without his help. We can think we're asking for miracles, but that no, underneath the awareness, the desire for something other than miracles that obscure divine being, the recognition, not only the recognition, the celebration, because you can recognize it easily that the light's here, not you. The light knows that it's light. The light doesn't know anything other than light. It's just light. And see that the light, does the light react to anything? Is it trying to kill anything? Does it have a lightning bolt hidden in there somewhere? Like a hidden, I'm going to get you. It's helpful to see that, because that's the way the ego plays. The only way the ego can exist is for the desire for a play that the light's going to get you. We're going to get the light. Until we see that it's not the light's going to get us, we don't. Consciousness plays to push light out of awareness, the recognition and celebration of one is given the boot, poof, out. Jesus, in the light of divine being and honesty of God, is there a desire to push infinite light out of awareness, to push infinite, unchanging love and divine nature out of awareness. And then the course truly begins. The falling away of the desire for the course to take time. Only the time you take. Then when we turn over to the only one that knows the most effective use of time, for it's seen that the light's already here, salvation has come. that Christ is only born in the mind because Christ is already here. It's the second coming of Christ. Because Christ is already here. And then there's suddenly, wait a minute, there's only Christ. The wait a minute was the delay. Of saying no to infinite. Even that will be forgotten. That a no is even possible. That's supreme happiness. Ceasing to say no to what's already here. And having Jesus, that's experience here. Having to have Jesus show me. Wanting to be oblivious of divine light. So interestingly enough, our movie today is Oblivion, which is a spectacular movie for showing the obliteration of the recognition of divinity. What could be a better movie than that play in consciousness? I'm going to be oblivious to who I am. So instead of to be clueless about infinite light, that it's here already, that I'm already saved. Jesus, is there a desire for experience to be oblivious to who I am? And just celebrate divinity when you say yes. Because in order to answer that, only the light can answer that. Well, via consciousness. Because the light itself doesn't have to answer that, because the light already is that. That's the memory of who we are answering, that knows the play is not real. But we're going to push the knowledge, true knowledge, that the play is not real out of awareness. And then walk around with the cloud of the serpent dancing in our heads. You know how sugar plums dance in your head? To see how thoughts dance in the head, so that we're oblivious. The decision to have thought and experience thoughts, to be oblivious of light. You can ask Jesus that. Is that what thoughts are for? Best not to have any, he says. Can you show me how, Jesus? That's that little manufacturing plant of desire. That's that he is really helping us hone in. Direct experience that we desire something other than God, ourselves. The big fat N-O to light. Jesus, do I want to say no to who I am as divine light? Okay, that's when we get honest. That's the only honesty of God. See that you're light. See where you get that little X. We need a little X. You can't even do an X to light. See, you couldn't put light in a box and put an X over it because it can't happen. One of those little symbols, no smoking, no light. But it's the happiness, see? And Jesus says, okay, be loving. Do you know? See that the light's not judging that you're saying no. We're judging ourselves for saying no. Yes, Jesus, is that the play of consciousness? Have a desired experience to say no to infinite, and then judge ourselves for saying no to infinite. Desire and experience that salvation lies in saying no to infinite. Ask Jesus. Jesus. It's like, that's humbling. Wait, like you can't even, let me see. Let's see. I don't know if I can even process that anymore. See, when you start getting really having that erase from the hard drive, we created like a little hard drive where we think all the data's real. Which reminds me, Data is the only character who's closest to real on all of Star Trek. So is there a desire to obliterate, to have a little hard drive that seems that it can obliterate infinite light? To insert a little tape in there, if the light is not here, that cover over. And see Jesus. Okay. The Son of God remembered not to laugh. You see in all the reflections how we do not want to laugh about this either. Ask Jesus. That's why, I can see it, Jesus, that why so many beings are going, God, I hate that laughter in the light circle. It's not the laughter in the light circle. It's not the laughter. It's that we want to remember not to laugh. And the laughter is reminding us of our true infinite laughter that comes from no place and goes no place because we see it can't be true. I'm asking you, Jesus, are you inviting us to laugh? Ask him. He's like, oh, that'll take you infinite right there. Is this an invitation to laughter? Infinite laughter. And you can hear that. We've mentioned those laughters at Muji and Satsang. They can happen here. They happen here. When you join, you'll get that same laughter. You go, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. There isn't anything other than light here. What was I thinking? And Jesus goes, well, exactly. So it's a thought right here, these little thoughts. They're going to get me. It's the thought that something's going to get us. And then they congeal into an object. An object's going to get me. Jesus. Little thought congealing. Like I remember saying, I could tell. It's like, Jesus, I want to be an object. I want to congeal like Jello and be a solid thing. Jesus, do I want to congeal like Jello? So that's a helpful, I want to be an object and just have all these things to ping off me. And then say, oh, I don't like it at all. It says, just see it. He's saying, just see it without judging it so that that energy that's suppressed, the content, the attempt to be an object just can come fully into awareness. That's it. That's letting the darkness come into the light. There's seeing the light, the big secret. I like that Tony Parsons, The Open Secret book. There isn't anything but light. Yeah. And it's here. That's the message. It's here in the book. You need do nothing. Like Jesus says, you need do nothing. And since that's the play of consciousness, he gives us something. Look at this lesson. Join with your brother. He's giving a powerful means to see that nothing happened. And it's helpful. Even Ramana Maharshi probably, yes, one of the greatest symbols in consciousness of devotion to and recognition and expression of divine being, Ramana Maharshi. But he knew, as the light knows, that nothing's needed to be light. But because of the play in consciousness, the idea of doing necessary, nothing's necessary. See, that light of divine being, it doesn't have a wake up checklist in there anywhere, because it's already here, and it doesn't do anything because it is everything. So that's a concept of a doer, a self concept that a doer exists. And the light doesn't have a doer in it. See that in the light, infinite light, is there a doer, little doer puppet in there? But even Ramana knew when beings would come to him, assignments to help focus the mind, infinite, the play of consciousness, it's Jesus using that play in consciousness to focus on the shark, the play, to focus on truth, because the light doesn't have focus. So it's a turning the focus to truth, to infinite light, so that the contrast in consciousness is like, oh, wait, there's light here. And the light's peaceful. Notice what happens when you just rest as light. It's not hunting or gathering. It's not hunter. It's not a manufacturer. See that it doesn't manufacture anything. And then see, and I use manufacturing as that symbol for making. The confusion between making something and creation, which has nothing to do with making anything. Ask Jesus about creation. Manufacturing being miscreating, the little factory. Like, that's just a fantastic, and you start seeing these pictures, and I mentioned Kelly finding them. And it's just fun. It's like a hunt for symbols, isn't it? The symbols of truth and appearing in form for us, and so that picture, it's so great, of that phone sitting like this with a whole castle, like an entire village castle built on top of it, is the symbol of how much investment there is just in this object. Like, just see how you feel. If a car rolls over this, just notice, how would we feel if a car, you just set this, who'd be willing? No, Jesus is not saying this, but just see how powerful thought is. It's not even happened. It's not going to happen. Just, oh, Jesus, please forgive me. If there's any idea below my level of awareness, I'll crush my phone. No, but just one thought of a car rolling over this. Just feel the tension. You just congeal so quickly into an object. Oh, that would be death. If it does roll over, see that it's a desire. So it's not only if it rolls over it. See, it's an if a car rolls over my phone, I would see. So see that goes to future. Now I'm going to worry about my phone all day. Okay, that's future. And it's miscreation of worry. So then just all we need to do, he's showing us. Thank you, Jesus. He's reminding me here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So object, assumption, feeling, just one thought of a car, rolling tension. So he's saying, look with me at the desire for the experience of looking at an object. Just see how it outpictures. You can see the car, you can see it crushing, you can feel it crushing your phone. You can feel all the thoughts and see all the little blowout. This is going to happen. I didn't back it up recently.
Oh, yeah.
See all that arising in consciousness, a shark? It hasn't even happened yet. Okay, but here's the scenario. You just feel the tension. That little bit of tension, and a lot of times on a phone, it's not a little bit of tension. This is like hell on wheels, right here driving along. Okay, here goes the phone by. So we're using this as an example, right? Because we're owned by the phone. We gave all our power, divine power, to a phone. Just ask Jesus, if I have one twitch about this phone being crushed, did I just give away all my divine power? You can ask them. Yes, that's how consciousness plays, over one thought. And yet you can ask them the same thing. Did I miscreate the idea of this phone? Yeah, miscreated an idea that a phone exists so I can have an experience. So when it comes up and it looks right here and someone says your phone's going to get crushed, I can have an experience of contraction. You can ask them over it. So then if that occurs, all we have to say, okay, show me the desire below my level of awareness for an experience of thinking, having a perception about an object that something bad can happen. Okay, show me the desire for that. That's all we're doing. He's just showing us the desire for the experience to twitch. So it can be released. So we're going to release the twitch. But we're noticing now how many twitches there are during the day. Like the phone's just the beginning. And that it's not just the phone or the phone getting crushed rolled over by a car. It's the entire, as we talked about, that iceberg below it of the denial. Like now have the light do the review. Let's do a light test. In the light of infinite being, infinite, is the light even thinking about a phone or a phone getting crushed, or the light's just oblivious that it could be a problem, that a phone could be crushed. So now that's the contrast between the play in consciousness, anticipation, a future. You can just see all the images that come up, the tension that arises. That's the play for objective experience. Something's going to happen to me if my phone were to get crushed. And then we start seeing all day long that's happening. Okay, if it's not your phone, it's the microwave breaks, or, list it. So it's a desire for experience. It's some kind of object. There's a loss. You can feel it. Is there a loss with this Jesus? So we need Jesus to even show us with the phone, what is the desired experience below our level of awareness, to have a twitch that an infinite being would go, golly, my world ends. And we're fighting Jesus to keep that too, by the way. We're fighting Jesus. We're going, Jesus, waking up is loss. When we're feeling loss, that's to keep loss all the time, just by the mention of our phone being crushed. We're keeping loss. So when we say, oh, I feel like it's going to be a sacrifice, the waking up. The only way out is to see it's a desired experience for sacrifice to avoid looking. And really use the way that Jesus does the flip, help us with the flip. So rather than, I feel I'm going to be in sacrifice, it's, I desire an experience of sacrifice to deny waking up, to deny who I am. I want to keep it. Instead of I believe in sacrifice, it's I desire an experience of sacrifice to say no to divine light. He's just, and then ask him, Jesus, we can ask him now, Jesus, is there a desire for sacrifice to deny divine light? And then you can go with them, like the pairing teams. We're still sorting out who already has a teammate for going through chapter 20. We've heard from a couple of you looking. So if anyone else, again, needs, we might be contacting you to make sure we know who you're paired with to go through chapter 20. It's really helpful. And so that we can support beings who would like to go through. And again, just for those that didn't hear it, we've posted instructions. I just posted them out on Facebook too, with a video that goes with it. So it's just to mention, it's not a discussion, right? It's a deep, just like the light circles, it's a contemplation with Jesus guiding. Okay, do I have this desire that you're pointing to in this book below my level of awareness? So it's not a discussion, it's clear. And then in the limited cases where he might say, okay, it's helpful for you to speak my words of what I told you for you about this, because it's not for another, it's always for you. When he speaks, and then to practice speaking, okay, this is what Jesus told me about what I needed to see. So lesson 348. I have no cause for anger or for fear. For you surround me, and in every need that I perceive, your grace suffices me. Oh, Jesus. Our only call here in honesty of God is that this lesson is all there is for us today. That's the prayer. And for you to show me where I don't want you to surround me. Because in the light of divine being, there isn't anything other than light, as we keeps bringing to mind that little fish swimming in the ocean, looking for water. Jesus, am I like a little fish swimming in the ocean of love, looking for love in all the wrong places? So we can only be surrounded. So therefore, if we're not fully experiencing infinite love all the time, Jesus, does that mean I have a desire to push it out of my awareness? Okay, I'm willing to be shown. Yes, can I have a miracle on the desire not to feel you surrounding me always? He says, yes. Okay. He says, just look with me at the desire as we see. Every time he tells us something, surrounded by love, but it's like, gee, Jesus, I'm not feeling surrounded by your love right now. That's honesty of God. Thus I desire an experience of not feeling surrounded by your love. Because there's just a little fish in the ocean of love. So I must not desire it. I must desire something other than feeling you surrounding me. Will you show me? And he points right to it. Perception. It's a desire not to perceive him being surrounded. It's desire for false perception that he's not already here. And every need I perceive, all we need is God's grace. Let's ask him to just have that land in the heart, that I perceive your grace. All the needs. Boy, that's pretty direct. Grace only. I need do nothing. I need nothing. Your grace suffices. Show me what that means, Jesus. Who you are is all you need. Again, we think we need a phone or anything, but Jesus, I'll give you my entire mind except my iPhone. Now everybody's going to be on, I fear the sacrifice of my iPhone. Great. And then we can just look and see how we've turned over our whole life. He can use it in purpose. That's the hilarious thing. He'll show over and over here, it's not the object. It's the belief that we are an object and that there are objects that we're looking at. Father, let me remember you are here and I'm not alone. Let me remember. Jesus, can you help me cease to forget that I'm not alone? That you're here. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, can we ever in truth be alone? See that the light it can't compute. The light doesn't compute aloneness. It doesn't actually compute oneness, but it's a word. Because it doesn't know two, so it doesn't know one. You see, that's the contrast. So just that thought, just that is something beyond thought. See that the recognition of light is beyond thought. You can ask Jesus. So is the recognition of light beyond thought? And memories are thoughts? The desire to forget that you're here? So do I have a desire to make thoughts more powerful than God? More powerful than myself and who I am? Yeah. And every time he tells you yes, for the experience here, it's like, I need him more than ever. It's like, oh, geez. But innocence, you can look in innocence when you look at these things so with them. Surrounding me is everlasting love. Okay, so let's just honesty God, this one. Jesus, do I desire an experience of being surrounded by love or not surrounded by love? And see which one he tells you. Yet is the love surrounding me already here, even if I don't want to see it? Is it like already here? Okay. I have no cause for anything except for perfect peace and joy I share with you. Am I willing to see that I have no cause for anything except for perfect peace and joy I share with you? And for every answer where I want something other than peace, will you help me see that that's a concept? That's a trap door to death. What need have I for anger or for fear? Does the light have a need for fear? Jesus, is fear just a play to obscure from looking, to avoid looking? See, once you know or recognize, we honor, it's really honoring honesty of God, that fear is just to obscure looking. And Jesus, can just one thought of God obliterate fear? Do I have all the power just on fear? Right now, do I just have all the power given by God to like never experience fear again? That's very humbling. So he says, yeah, you desire it. So I'm here to help you see that desire for it, where you refuse a miracle. Fear is just refusal of a miracle. And the refusal is in the desire for the experience of fear. So when you look with me at the desire, that itch, the wanting of fear, rather than staying in the fear and the wanting, I can support you in your willingness to release that energy that manifests as the experience of fear in the dream. Surrounding me is perfect safety. That's why we always start with perfect safety. We always start with light. Because we can. Ask Jesus, can I always start with light? Of course, that's who you are. Start infinite. That's what he means by begin again. I love that. Lisa Fair used to say that all the time. Begin again. Begin as light. There is no beginning in light. It's just a helpful reminder for the one who wants to deny light. I love that too with Muji. Muji would go, take your true position as light. And who's speaking? Is the light speaking? To develop that discernment. That's what he's teaching us, the discernment between the serpent's tongue, the serpent's thought, and the light expression of divinity and fullness, like fearlessness. Doesn't know fear. Free from the concept of fear, free from the desire for the concept of fear. Surrounding me is perfect safety. Jesus is surrounding me perfect safety. The ocean of love. Can I escape the ocean of love? No. Do I want to have an experience where I can pretend to escape the ocean of love? Let's stay with the light. To see that the light's not have one single judgment over the play of trying to escape light. Because light is comfortable knowing that we can't do it, no matter how hard. Can I be afraid when your eternal promise goes with me? Surrounding me is perfect sinlessness, the ocean of sinlessness. We're swimming in the ocean of sinlessness going, oh my God, God's going to get me. Looking around, he's coming. We're swimming in an ocean of sinlessness. Ask Jesus. That's why you laugh. You go, oh man, he's right again. The happy laughter that he's right. What can I fear when you created me in holiness as perfect as your own? Okay, let's let that sink in. What can the light fear? Let's look around in there. You created me and holiness is perfect. That's what we don't want to see. Jesus. This is where that honesty of God comes handy. Do I not want to see that you created me in holiness as perfect as your own? Is there anything left down there? I like to just check it out. He said, this is holiness to look. It's unholy not to look. See, it's the play of the unholy. Honesty of God is the looking. Because it's honoring divinity and ceasing to deny it. And heaven's all in. We need to see this, he says. You need to see that when you admit it, heaven's all in. because your belief is that heaven's going to crush you for looking. But at least we see that. Jesus is coming in here to send me right to hell. You know, crush me.
Yeah.
Jesus, is there a desire to have an experience when you talk to me that I feel crushed? I feel you're going to get me. He says, you just give me the devil's tail.
Yeah.
You give your brother the devil's tail and me. It's pin the tail. You know, I talk about pin the tail on the donkey. Okay, Kelly's going to be looking for the pin the tail on the donkey picture. It's a good reminder. Like I told that story about being in Bali and looking at that, one of those Balinese Hindu gods that looks like a monster. Like it's really, it's a helpful symbol that the monster, when we see through it, and then I'm looking at that thing, that's, and Jesus saying, you won't see that I'm sending angels you all the time if you pin the devil's tail on them. Like, that was like a Jesus wake me up okay right there. It's like, oh, you're right. And you start noticing how you're pinning the devil's tail on, you know, that state of fear when a being shows up, that they're trying to attack you to take heaven away. That's so deep, man, in that chapter 20, when I was looking at it with them and going, man, I just want it, like really want my brother to, I mean, really, really super, really with a cherry on top, wanted have an experience my brother rip heaven. That's a good one. Just go deep. Again, that's why it's really the one-on-one partners to just, you know, focus together and focus and drop. Anyway, he says it, so I trust him totally. Surrounding me is perfect sinlessness. What can I fear when you created me in holiness as perfect as your own? Okay. Will you help me see this, Jesus? That there's nothing to fear. This is so, so, so super great that you'll see working with them. It's going to just, the idea of fear, you know, and being with your brother and staying, as long as you stay with desire, just see when fear, because see, notice fear, it's a feeling. And Donna, the shark comes like this and goes, that means it's fear. It even likes to label displays in consciousness. I'm asking Jesus, he says you can actually be having a release and be calling it fear. Ask him. This is another example. Boy, this is so helpful. Thank you, Jesus. Why we need him to tell us, is this release or is it fear? He's just showing me like an example of that. Boy, you have to ask. That's what I'm saying. Because he was talking about spiritual experience, or most awakening experiences are plays in consciousness. Yes. Unequivocally miscreation. That'll take out any looking for a spiritual experience. Right there. Yes. He was unequivocal about it because it came up. Thank my brothers for that last night. Renee brought it up. And so I just, okay, let's just look at that one. It keeps the mind in play for a future something. And then it's a story to talk about spiritual awakening. See, when I awoke, See, in the light, just remember, if the light is telling a story about spiritual awakening. And that's why now, I mean, I understand it at Living Miracles. We were talking about that too. They do not speak about that. Because then it becomes a happening. This is going to happen to a me, and then the mind conceptualizes it. And it can be the way he's telling me, because I'm thinking about, like my cousin was talking about it. It can be just such a play in consciousness. He's saying it's just a play in consciousness. And that story Muji tells, another great example. I wonder if I can find that on video. Because he talks about this beautiful, this woman that was very devoted to God, and she was contemplated, and her master told her, if I can remember the story correctly, this will work, Jesus says. Just tell it as I tell it. See, we don't have to know anything. Memory. So meditating on God, but her master told her, you're unchanging. Anything that moves is not it. This is the most handy thing. So she's sitting there and she's meditating, and the chorus of angels came singing, you know, and what the mind likes to do is what's going to go with that. Oh my God, this is awakening. All the angels are going to sing. And she goes, nope. He said, do not affiliate with the changing. It's not it. Very helpful, because you'll see that play. It'll be more than ice creams. It will seem like it'll actually, it can fake you out with bliss. That's why you have to ask Jesus, because the ego can play bliss. See how it does with an orgasm. And until you talk to Jesus about that and find out that's a trip into hell, ask him. That's not going to be popular. Maybe we won't put that clip up. No, it's going to stay. You ask him, spend time, chapter 9. But anyway, when you find out what that is, you just go, but I tell you, I need a lot of help with Jesus on that one. Okay. So so of course there's a diversion, because that's what'll happen. You'll be meditating, God, I need an orgasm, you know, whatever. That's the diversion. It's funny. Just turning it over to the one who knows. Okay. Yes. Okay. So okay, maybe that arises. Oh my gosh, you know. Because that's the ego's idea of what bliss is. Do you see? So okay, it could be that. Consciousness is an equal opportunity play artist. Okay, so she's meditating. Dun, dun, dun. Here comes the most beautiful lights and camera. I mean, just like, oh, this is extraordinary. She goes, oh, my master said, if it's moving, it's not real. Ego's not going to like that. Because I want this play of the moving. And suddenly she finds herself out in the universe as the stars and the moon and the trees and I am that. Maybe. But no, you're not that. You're light. Now in consciousness I'm asking Jesus because he always knows. These are like glimpses that no one's here. We're seeing that in just love's here. So for the experience, it's just love, you know, infinite, unchanging love. It doesn't need an experience because it is everything. It's just love. It's not looking for an awakening experience. It's just light, celebrating itself as it is. I love that about Muji. He never ever emphasizes, now they may arise. He always emphasizes, who are you? We're coming up to that lesson. Who are you? What can I fear when you created me, and holiness is perfect as your own? God's grace suffices us in everything that he would have us do. And some being, and I can see that. Yes, Jesus, let's talk about I need do nothing. Yet you're asking me to do stuff, Jesus, what's up? He's just showing us when he says that our belief in a doer, that's all that's for. Jesus, light doesn't need to do anything. See that light? Is the light doing something? Has a little construction project, looking for food. It just is here. It's not doing anything. But as long as that playing consciousness is there, the doer, he's providing ways in which we're investing in the objective experience so we can see it directly, because we've asked him to come and show us the areas below our level of awareness where we think we're an object. And so that's why the ego protests when the spirit says, here's something, here's what for you to look at right here. The ego is going to protest because A, it doesn't want to look. It fears that loss of control. It desires an experience of wanting to be in control and being out of control at the same time. See, the light doesn't have either of those experiences, control or out of control. It just is. So Jesus is pointing to us to how the means by which we recognize ourselves as all that is, divinely expressing in totality every moment. The happy dream. The happiness, that our happiness does not depend on anything occurring in this dream, because we are happiness itself. That is us. This, what is. And I've asked him, about many times about Tony Parsons' book, you're that. Yes, you can see that you are that. But it's not just what's happening. That Jesus says, no, it's what's desired experience. And until you see those desires through, you'll think things are just happening when nothing's happening. You can see, everyone can see that nothing's happening. You just look as the light, and the light doesn't see anything happening. In the play of consciousness, it wants to experience something happening to it, to be an it that something happens to. And without looking directly at the desire for that, it's, I've heard beings who have a very clear recognition that nothing's here. At the same point, when something happens, they just go, I don't even know what happened. Yes, it was a desired experience. That's what happens. It's a desired experience for something to move or change. Thank you, Jesus. He's saying, go all the way. Do not stop at just seeing that there's infinite here. Otherwise, you'll still be tossed on the rocks of death, little deaths. You still want to play in consciousness. You won't really be free. It'll seem like you're free, but you're not. The only one who knows when we're totally done is the one who knows, Jesus. Amen to that. All the way on the rocket ship to #supreme happiness. Amen.